Okay, have you ever been at the grocery store and just felt confused? You know, one week your coffee is a certain price, the next week it's shot up, and then it's back down again. It can feel totally random. But believe it or not, there is a kind of logic to the chaos. So let's pull back the curtain and figure out what's really going on with the cost of our food. And a perfect place to start is with something most of us can't imagine our mornings without: coffee. It seems pretty straightforward, right? But the journey those beans take is actually a fantastic window into these huge interconnected forces that are making our entire food supply feel like one big roller coaster ride. So look at this. It's basically a tug of war. On one side, you've got Brazil, the world's #1 Arabica producer, getting hit with a drought. That should send prices soaring. But at the very same time, Vietnam, the king of Robusta beans, is having a massive year, with exports up over 17%. These two signals are pulling in completely opposite directions, and that's what creates this wild volatility in coffee prices.
Right, so it's obviously not as simple as good harvest means low prices anymore. We've got to look past those old rules of thumb. The whole game has changed, and we're about to meet the new players on the field.
And this quote right here from Carlos Mera over at Rabobank just hits the nail on the head. This is the whole point. It's not just about how much food is grown versus how much people want to buy. No, there's a whole new set of rules, geopolitical ones, that are now running the show. We're living in a time where absolutely everything is connected. A weather pattern on one side of the planet can affect a political decision on the other, and it all ends up impacting your grocery bill. So to make any sense of it, we really have to break these new forces down one by one.
Okay, first up, the weather. But I'm not talking about whether you need an umbrella tomorrow. We're talking about enormous climate patterns that act like one giant global machine, linking weather events across thousands and thousands of miles.
And the main engine of this machine, it's called ENSO. You've probably heard of its two famous faces, El Niño and La Niña. Basically, when that huge patch of the Pacific Ocean warms up or cools down, it pumps a massive amount of energy into the atmosphere. That, in turn, literally shoves around major air currents like the jet stream. And the result is kind of mind-blowing. A drought happening in one part of the world is physically connected to floods happening somewhere else. And here's exactly how that affects you. It's a direct chain reaction. You see, an El Niño kicks off way out in the middle of the ocean. That shifts weather patterns all over the globe, which leads to less rain in Brazil's coffee country. And boom, the price you end up paying for your morning cup goes up. It's a straight line from the ocean right to your wallet. But it's not just Mother Nature causing all these price swings. Let's get to our second major force. And this is where things get really tangled. We're talking about geopolitics. This is a world where food isn't just for eating. It's become a tool, a weapon even, of international power. Analysts at Rabobank have said that farm goods are now basically pawns on a geopolitical chessboard. Think about that. It means food isn't just flowing from where it's grown to where it's needed anymore. Instead, its path is being dictated by political alliances, by rivalries, and by national strategy. It completely changes the map of who grows what and who sells to whom. And if you want a real-world example, get this. During a recent trade spat, U.S. coffee purchases from Brazil fell off a cliff, dropping by a jaw-dropping 52%. Just like that, a single political decision completely rerouted a major trade flow that had been chugging along for years. That's how powerful this geopolitical force is. And this isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's become this global subsidy race. Governments all over are just pumping money into their farm sectors, with direct payments, price guarantees, you name it. And what that does is it totally distorts the market. It tells farmers, hey, just keep planting, even when prices are tanking. The result? We end up with these massive, sustained gluts of crops like grain. Which brings us to our third and final force, this really weird, contradictory situation in global supply. Because of this mix of new weather patterns and new politics, we're seeing markets that are somehow both flooded with product and totally starved of it at the same time. This chart just lays it out perfectly. Look on the left. Cereal production is off the charts, hitting an all-time high, a total glut. But then, look on the right. Beef production is actually set to decline for the first time in 6 years. Supply is tightening. It's literally a tale of two completely different harvests. And to give you a sense of just how big that grain surplus is, the forecast is for nearly 3 billion tons. That's a new world record, and it's driven by those subsidies we were just talking about. That's what's keeping prices for stuff like corn and wheat from going crazy. But at the exact same time, the beef market is going in the total opposite direction. You see, after years of shrinking their herds, ranchers in big places like North and South America are finally trying to rebuild. And that means they're holding back cattle from the market, which, you guessed it, tightens supply and drives prices up. And just when you think you've got a handle on it all, another wrench gets thrown in the works. Huge new sources of demand popping up. For example, Brazil's corn-based ethanol industry is absolutely exploding. It's expected to swallow up a massive amount of the country's corn. So now, corn that used to get shipped around the world is staying right there at home, creating a brand new competition between Brazil's cars and the global food market. So what does it all mean when you stir it all together? Well, you've got a global weather machine creating synchronized chaos, you have geopolitics turning food into game pieces, and you have these bizarre imbalances of too much of one thing and not enough of another. Yeah, welcome to the new normal. I think the analysts at Rabobank put it best. We have to get ready for a world where the unexpected is now the baseline. All these forces mixing together means those old, predictable cycles, they're gone. The only thing we can really be sure of is more uncertainty and more surprises at the checkout line. So let's do a super quick recap. The three new forces to remember are: 1, the global weather machine, where climate patterns connect floods over here to droughts over there. 2, the geopolitical chessboard, where trade policy and subsidies are messing with the markets. And 3, the tale of two harvests, where we're seeing huge surpluses of some foods right next to shortages of others. And all of this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. In this new world, where a drought in one place is tied to a flood in another, and a trade war can flip the board overnight, just how sturdy is our global food system really? It's a question we're all gonna have to think about.